everyone. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us. You are watching the show for the adventurous wine drinker, and we are Igor and Anu. We're the owners and founders of Vinousreverie Wine Merchant out in Walnut Creek, California. And we have a special wine shop with a mission to bring to your attention unique and interesting and highly rated wines from all over the world. So on to our tasting show. What are we having today?
One of those wines that you described, interesting and unique. It's moscatod'asti from the Sirocco family.
Okay, yeah. So tell me a little bit about moscatod'asti. So Moscato is the grape, right?
Yeah, Moscato Bianco, the Italians call it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Muscat family has a lot of varieties, and Moscato Bianco, or the other name for it is Muscat Blanc, Apatisse grains, or Muscat of Alsace. They're actually considered the more complex wines. They make more interesting wines than Muscat of Alexandria, which is more prevalent Muscat. And one of the reasons is because it's smaller berries, which usually get more concentrated and produce more interesting wines.
Right.
So they have the history goes back to the Greeks. Greeks make their own Muscat.
Okay.
But Moscato has a long history in Italy.
Yes.
It's actually the only grape that's grown in all 20 of its regions.
Okay.
So all regions grow Moscato grapes, but moscatod'asti, that's the place that's considered to be
specific area. D'Asti, of course.
D'Asti, and make the best examples of the Moscato grape.
Yeah, there's a lot of Moscato out there.
Yes.
And I wouldn't say a lot of it's very good. But this is a spectacular one. So.
Well, it has a reputation.
Yeah.
Well, another interesting thing about moscatod'asti is, so along with Brunello, Barolo, Barbaresco, and Moscato, those are the only four, what do they call, nomenclatures that are allowed to be 100% one grape.
Okay.
So Brunello has to be 100% Sangiovese.
Yeah.
Barbaresco and Barolo have to be 100% Nebbiolo, and Moscatod'asti has to be 100% Moscato.
Okay.
Everything else in Italy has to fall within an 85% rule.
Okay.
So only one of four regions that have to
regulations.
Regulations.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yes. So I mean, we can kind of go into the region itself.
Yeah.
I don't know. You want to show?
Well, I can show it, but why don't you walk us through it?
Yeah, so we got Italy right here, guys. So we're looking at the white dot, northwest Italy in the Piedmont region. So the bigger map opens up right here. So you have Asti right here in green, right in the center of Piedmont. Right to the south, you have the most famous part of Piedmont is Langhe region, which has Barolo and Barbaresco, the two famous Nebbiolo-based wines. And up north is the Alto Piemonte, more Nebbiolo-based wines with the Alpine flavor Nebbiolo. So it's a different expression of it. And right in the middle, you have these delicious feather-light Moscatod'astis, the other specialty of the region. So it's a region that's known for their king of Italian grapes Nebbiolo, and also these beautiful Moscatod'astis.
Yes.
And actually, a little cool factoid about that is Moscatod'asti is the oldest sparkling wine from Italy. So the history goes back to at least the 1600s. Yeah. So
that's quite.
Yeah. So they were learning of ways to process the grapes, because sparkling wine, it's a two-step process. You have to the sparkle comes from the second after the second fermentation occurs.
Yes.
So that's like kind of the cool thing about it is they have a written history of how so people were learning or teaching how to ferment the grapes.
Yes.
And then how to store them in cold so they don't continue continue fermentation. So they could create fizziness.
Yeah.
So that's like a little cool area. So D'Asti, there's about almost 25,000 acres dedicated to Moscatod'asti, and it goes over 52 villages. And they actually have their own almost kind of Burgundian crew system.
Okay.
when some of the villages are kind of considered the Grand Cru sites,
Right.
And some of the villages are considered lesser sites.
Okay.
And typically, the higher elevation you go, that's the better sites. More southern vineyards, usually the grapes are riper and sweeter. Whereas when you get like more towards the Alps, you get more of that kind of daytime nighttime variation. So cool and hot, and it expands the growing season and allows the muscat grape to kind of ripe at its own pace while still maintain its like beautiful floral aromatics.
Okay.
So that's like a really nice aspect to it. And actually, when you get there's barely any sites below 200 meters elevation, so it's 200 and above.
Above, yeah.
Yeah, and one of the reasons is because they get like fungal diseases if
it's humid.
It's too humid. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So. And the soils, it's a lot of calcium and marl. They actually have a name for it. They call it the white lands of the Alto Monferrato because of the specific soils.
Okay, so the soil is. I was wondering when we were going to get to soils.
Yes,
okay.
yes. So. Pretty nice thing about like the little effects about this region. So.
Yeah. No, cool. Thank you. Well, shall we taste it?
Yes.
As if I haven't already tried it
Well,
off
you can
camera,
tell us, yes.
but I will. Yeah, I do that just for the purposes of writing tasting notes.
And there's actually a little side story. So Asti makes two wines. So they make Asti Spumante, which is a sparkling wine, and Moscatod'asti, which is actually a fizzy wine.
Slightly fizz. You can see it, actually. It's got a little fizz when I poured it in.
But it's not like champagne where, it starts,
No. It's just a light fizz, but you can still see it. It's quite...
and it's made, I don't think I mentioned it, it's made in the Marniotti Charmat method.
Okay, so there's méthode champonaise, which is where it's the bubbles are put in the bottle, right?
The bubbles form during the second fermentation in the bottle.
So this is not that. This is a different method.
Yeah, this is more famous for the Prosecco style, where the bubbles are formed in big tanks.
Okay.
So that's they call it the.
What is it called?
So I knew the Charmat method, but the actual person who created it is Martinotti. So it's called the Martinotti Charmat method.
Okay.
Of creating
who did it first?
Right.
Okay.
So, the Sirocco family, obviously, who makes this wine, they actually grow wine in the Santo Stefano Belbo village, which is one of the Grand Cru villages. So very high elevation, yes.
Okay.
There's the Canelli village, another Grand Cru, and Asti itself. But back to kind of the story I was saying. So you have the Asti Spumante, which is a sweet sparkling wine, and you have the sweet fizzy wine, Moscatod'asti, and one of the so back the Russians before the Soviets.
Yes.
They loved Viv Clicquot. So they actually had in Russian they call it Klikovskoye.
Okay.
So one of the reasons, Dame Clicquot, she knew the Russians like the sweeter style.
Right.
So when the sediment was forming during the first fermentation, they would take out a lot of the sediment, more so when they do with dry wine, and they would fill it up with syrup and with brandy.
Okay.
So the dosage that was given was so sweet, and that's because she knew that's what the Russian market.
That's what the Russians want. Okay.
Yes, and Asti Spumante. I know a lot of Russians love Asti Spumantes too, because they love vodka, and then they love their sweet wines. Yes.
Yeah, well, I think the cuisine probably matches more.
Yeah,
but that's a tangent.
But it's a famous because I knew Viv Clicquot. Obviously, she's number one selling champagne here right now. So it's a brand of brands.
Yeah.
So, but it's funny this side story why the Russians love that wine so much.
Yeah.
So.
Well, can we talk about tasting notes yet?
Tasting notes, and maybe give a little overview about the family.
Yeah. But first, tasting notes. More importantly, guys. So I just want to show off. It's very light and pale in color, and my impression of this wine. I'll get to the tasting notes just in a second, but it's super, super light and feather light, which is unique for a dessert wine. Sometimes dessert wines have a tendency to become syrupy and heavy on your palate, which is not always that pleasant. So this is super light. I think it smells like honeysuckle and cantaloupe. Really nice. And it tastes like citrus blossom, like a super bursting ripe yellow peach.
Yeah.
Meyer lemon, so it's got that acid, but it's, you know, still sweet acid. And just like some sage or some sort of light herbal finish at the end. It's very nice wine. You can have it as a dessert itself.
Yes.
Or I think, fruit tart pairings are going to be good with this one.
Or just like berries with like a spoonful of sugar.
Oh yeah, sugared berries was another one. And then I also ice cream, although I'm not sure. I never know how to pair ice cream with wine, but they said this is going to be good with
vanilla ice cream, probably chocolate ice cream.
Chocolate, not so much. Yeah, vanilla maybe, and then of course gorgonzola cheese. I always think dessert wine and cheese go together very well. So
and you're right. Feather Light, 6% alcohol. So
yes, so perfect for Easter.
Yes.
If you want to have a nice wine, brunch wine, and it's not very alcoholic. So that's always a plus. I keep an eye out for those kind of wines.
And Muscat has the reputation of being grapey in a sense that it tastes the most like edible grapes. And I think when you taste it, you can actually see why people say that.
Like you want to eat it? What do you mean?
It tastes like the grapes you eat.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
No, it does. Yeah, it does taste like a little bit like the grapes you eat, but in a good way.
Yes.
Cool. So I don't have too much of a background into the family. I just had I was kind of trying to look up the Sirocco family and see how long they've been doing this. And of course, it seems like the 1900s. Actually, their family was making wine in this area since the 1900s. And they originally started by selling their Moscato grape in bulk to companies that produce vermouth. So, there we have it. I don't know much about vermouth, but thought it was interesting.
Well, and they were one of the very first wines, I think, quite a few decades after they were like selling for vermouth, but to actually introduce serious expressions of moscatod'asti.
Okay.
And obviously this wine got 95 points from wine enthusiasts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've never seen
points.
Moscato.
Yeah, a Moscato 95 points, and at this price point, this is like extremely. I mean, you're getting like a crazy highly rated wine for super cheap. So.
There's not too many Barolos, 95-point Barolos at this price point, or 85-point Barolos at this price point.
No, yeah, I don't think.
But it's funny. One of the reasons I think for the price point, I was actually reading Walter Speller, who's a Italian wine specialist. He writes for JensenRobinson.com, and I've always wondered, I was like, how come consumers drink to what I think are inferior wines? They settle for what they know. I mean, a lot of it is I think being pushed by marketing. But he actually put a phrase. I couldn't put it better myself. Unfamiliarity breeds contempt, and I'm like, that's exactly I think what it is. One of the double whammy for Moscatod'asti is that it's sweet, which is out of fashion, and it's cheap. And so people think, cheap, how good can it possibly be when it's cheap?
Yeah, and then there's this whole, I think it's, we all naturally want to perceive ourselves as experts.
Yeah.
So I noticed that, especially when we had our tasting room, that sometimes people want to, they say that they are experts in wine, so therefore they hate dessert wine, as if dessert wine is not a serious category of wine, which is not true. There are actually exquisite dessert wines that sommeliers go crazy over, so...
Well, Sauternes, the most famous dessert wine out of Bordeaux, and actually this one is similar to Sauternes. It's extremely labor intensive. It is completely underpriced. Whereas, I think it's no overstatement that Cabernet is the most overpriced grape in the world.
Yeah.
It kind of set the reputation that only Cabernet makes the best wines in the world. So it's we have to charge the highest price. Using Bordeaux right there as an example, Sauternes way more labor intensive than red Bordeaux, and way cheaper relatively speaking. Mm-hmm. And just like a kick in the pants, Sauternes wines get way higher score than red Bordeaux's.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
You know why they get higher scores? Because they're better. That's why they get higher scores. That is that simple.
Yeah.
But because the modern kind of sophisticated drinker thinks that dessert wine cannot be good, that's what's driving the disparity in the price points.
Yeah, y'all are missing out. So this is an excellent, lovely, light
Yes.
dessert wine, and it's just got a touch of fizz on it. It's fun, and I think it's for the price point, it's amazing.
And just like we were mentioned, I think it's a perfect wine before the Easter weekend.
Yes.
It's just beautiful to drink right after, I think, nice brunch. Because 6%, that's the point about it.
You could probably have, more than a glass without worrying about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Either, the only thing that comes close is the Spätlese from the Germany, where low alcohol wines.
Yes, I was thinking of that as well. The Spätleses have low alcohol as well.
Well, I mean, it's just delicious. Like I said, 95 points. I've never seen anything in Moscato get a high score like that.
Okay, cool.
So.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, for joining us. We really appreciate you watching our show. Comment, follow us, ask any questions you want, and we will see you guys next Friday.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.